Before the stunned employees could even applaud, the billionaire CEO lifted a certified check worth $750,000 high above her head and announced that whoever could prove they had saved her company from financial collapse would receive every dollar. Executives rushed forward with polished speeches, department heads proudly claimed credit, and consultants argued over reports. Hidden in the back of the crowded conference hall, an elderly janitor quietly pushed his cleaning cart toward the exit. Just as he reached the doorway, he whispered a single word that froze the CEO where she stood. That one word unlocked a memory she had buried for 20 years and exposed a truth that no amount of money could ever buy. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone you love, and subscribe to our channel. Every story shared with our family and our community reminds us that the greatest treasures are often hidden inside ordinary people. Aurora Bennett had become one of the youngest CEOs in America's technology industry. At only 38 years old, she had transformed a struggling software company into a billion-dollar business. Investors admired her confidence, employees respected her intelligence, but very few people truly knew her. Years of success had slowly built invisible walls around her heart. Every meeting revolved around numbers, every decision focused on profit, and every relationship became another business transaction. She often told herself that emotions only distracted people from success, yet deep inside she carried the loneliness of someone who had forgotten what genuine human connection felt like. During the previous 6 months, Bennett Technologies had faced the worst crisis in its history. A sophisticated cyber attack had nearly exposed sensitive customer information, threatening lawsuits worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Somehow, just hours before the attack reached its final stage, the company had discovered the hidden breach and stopped it. Independent investigators confirmed that one unknown employee had quietly reported unusual server activity before anyone else noticed the danger. That single anonymous report saved the company from complete financial disaster. Aurora promised a reward of $750,000 to the person responsible. She believed generosity would encourage honesty. The entire company gathered inside the bright glass atrium for the announcement. Sunlight streamed through enormous windows while television crews recorded every moment. Department managers stood confidently near the stage. Security specialists reviewed documents one last time. Everyone expected the hero to be someone wearing an expensive suit. Standing unnoticed near the back was 70-year-old Theodore Mercer. Most employees simply called him Theo. For nearly 15 years, Theo had worked as the company's janitor. Every morning before sunrise, he quietly polished floors, emptied trash bins, cleaned offices, and greeted early workers with the same warm smile. Few people bothered learning his name. Many executives walked past him without making eye contact. They saw a janitor. They never saw the man. Aurora stepped onto the stage holding the oversized ceremonial check. She thanked employees for their loyalty before asking the anonymous hero to come forward. Silence filled the room. After several uncomfortable seconds, one senior executive confidently claimed responsibility. He presented reports showing his department had responded quickly during the emergency. Another manager interrupted him, insisting his cybersecurity team deserved the reward instead. Soon several leaders argued publicly while cameras captured every embarrassing moment. Theo quietly shook his head. He slowly turned toward the exit. As he pushed his cleaning cart across the polished floor, Aurora happened to glance in his direction. Something about the old man's peaceful expression caught her attention. Before leaving, Theo softly whispered one word. Firefly. Aurora's heart stopped. The ceremonial check slipped from her hands onto the stage. She stared across the room as though time itself had frozen. Nobody understood why the CEO suddenly looked ready to cry. 20 years earlier, Aurora had grown up in a small farming town. Her widowed father worked endless hours repairing tractors while her mother battled illness. During difficult summers, electricity often failed at night. Aurora would sit outside feeling frightened until her father smiled and pointed toward tiny glowing insects dancing above the fields. He always called them fireflies. Whenever Aurora felt afraid, he whispered only one word. Firefly. It became their private reminder that even tiny lights could defeat overwhelming darkness. Her father died unexpectedly before she graduated from college. She never told another person about that childhood memory. Not even close friends knew the meaning of that word. Aurora hurried down from the stage and stopped Theo before he reached the door. Her voice trembled as she asked how he knew that word. Theo slowly removed an old leather wallet from his pocket. Inside rested a faded photograph. It showed a teenage Aurora sitting beside her father outside their farmhouse. Aurora's knees nearly gave way. Theo gently explained that he and her father had served together as volunteer firefighters decades earlier. They remained close friends until life separated them. Before his death, Aurora's father had written Theo a letter asking him to quietly watch over his daughter if life ever crossed their paths again. Years later, Theo recognized Aurora's name when she purchased the struggling technology company where he already worked as part of the cleaning staff. He intentionally kept his distance. He believed she deserved to build her own success without feeling protected. Aurora could barely hold back tears. She asked why he had never introduced himself. Theo smiled softly. Because your father asked me to watch over you, not interfere with your journey. The room had become completely silent. Every employee listened. Theo continued explaining what had happened during the cyber attack. Each evening after cleaning offices, he noticed unfamiliar technicians repeatedly entering the server room carrying equipment that never appeared on maintenance schedules. Years of volunteer firefighting had taught him to trust unusual patterns. He quietly reported everything through the company's anonymous security portal before anyone realized criminals had infiltrated the building using counterfeit contractor credentials. He never expected recognition. Protecting people simply felt like the right thing to do. Aurora realized the company's greatest hero had spent years being ignored by nearly everyone inside the building. She turned toward the executives who had been arguing moments earlier. None could meet her eyes. For years they had walked past Theo without even thanking him for keeping the workplace clean. Now they stood embarrassed before the man who had quietly saved every job in the company. Aurora picked up the $750,000 check and offered it to Theo. He looked at it for several long seconds. Then he gently shook his head. He explained that he already had enough to live a simple life. Money had never motivated him. Instead, he asked Aurora to use the funds differently. He wanted scholarships created for children of firefighters, custodians, mechanics, nurses, sanitation workers, and every hard-working family whose sacrifices often went unnoticed. The audience erupted into spontaneous applause. Some employees openly cried. Aurora realized she had spent years rewarding titles instead of character. That afternoon she announced the creation of the Mercer Legacy Scholarship Program, funded not only by the original reward but by an additional $20 million from her personal fortune. She also introduced new company policies ensuring every employee, regardless of position, received equal respect, educational opportunities, and direct access to leadership. Within months, Bennett Technologies became known not only for innovation but for compassion. Executives regularly joined custodial staff for appreciation lunches. Managers personally greeted maintenance workers every morning. Employee satisfaction reached record levels. Visitors often commented that the company somehow felt warmer than any corporate headquarters they had ever entered. Yet the greatest change occurred inside Aurora herself. She began arriving early each morning simply to share coffee with Theo before the workday began. He never lectured her about leadership. Instead, he shared quiet stories about courage, friendship, forgiveness, and her father. Each conversation healed another small piece of the grief she had carried for decades. One sunny afternoon, Theo officially retired. Hundreds of employees lined the entrance as he walked through the building one final time. Nobody looked at him as merely a janitor anymore. They saw a guardian. A mentor. A humble hero. Before leaving, Theo handed Aurora a small glass jar. Inside were tiny handcrafted lights shaped like glowing fireflies. Attached was a handwritten note. Real leaders never become the brightest light in the room. They help others discover their own. Aurora placed the jar inside her office instead of expensive trophies and business awards. Whenever difficult decisions arose, she looked at those tiny glowing lights and remembered the lesson her father and Theo had both protected for so many years. Success built companies. Kindness built legacies. Before this story ends, we'd love to hear from you. What do you think is the most overlooked profession in our society, and why do those people deserve more appreciation? Leave your answer in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Thank you for being part of our family and our community, where every act of kindness reminds us that sometimes the quietest voice in the room carries the greatest truth.